In this training, we're going to go over youth protection. In section 3 of this training, it takes a closer look at the Big Brothers Big Sisters youth protection system and how it applies to you, the volunteer big. At Big Brothers Big Sisters, we believe in the power of relationships and knowing that strong relationships are those that are healthy and safe. All children deserve to live in a world that nurtures and protects them from harm. Within Big Brothers Big Sisters programs, children are safest when volunteers, parents, and our staff work together. Big Brothers Big Sisters has put in place important policies and procedures designed to help keep children safer while they are with their big. We're very proud of our safety record. At the same time, we need your help to continue the success. This section will cover the following: why it's important, promoting child safety, children's exposure to trauma, safety in your match, and child abuse. As you can see, section 3 is comprised of 5 lessons, followed by a section called Let's See What You've Learned, where you will be asked a few questions about what was covered in section 3. Section 3 should take you approximately 45 minutes to complete. Big Brothers Big Sisters of America and its local agencies are committed to defending the potential of all youth, those participating in our programs and those who are not. A key element to this is our commitment to their safety and well-being. In this lesson, we introduce the Big Brothers Big Sisters Youth Protection System. This system is essential to our programs and is at the core of everything we do. At the end of this lesson, you should be able to answer the following questions. What is the #1 priority of Big Brothers Big Sisters and its local agencies? Why is child safety and youth protection important to Big Brothers Big Sisters programs?
Big Brothers Big Sisters of America and its local agencies are committed to defending the potential of all youth, those participating in our programs and those who are not. A key element to this is our commitment to their safety and well-being. To provide some context, let's take a look at some of the experiences of children across the United States. These numbers apply to all youth, not just the youth in our programs. In the United States, children and youth are more likely to be exposed to violence and crime than adults. The 2015 National Survey of Children's Exposure to Violence conducted by the U.S. Department of Justice found that 58% of youth reported at least one exposure to violence. 15% reported 6 or more types of direct victimization or witnessing violence in the previous year. 1 in 20 children reported being sexually victimized. 2 in 5 children were victims of at least one assault, and 1 in 12 youth witnessed family violence. Research indicates the single most important factor in children building the skills of resilience is the presence of a caring, stable adult. And by being a trusted, empathetic, caring, and empowering advocate for your little, you help them build protective factors such as self-esteem and self-confidence, as well as helping them in healthy and positive decision-making. Big Brothers Big Sisters is committed to being a part of the solution towards reducing violence and victimization in the lives of all children across the hundreds of communities served by our local mentoring programs. And as a big, you will play an essential role in this by promoting your little's safety.
In the United States, children and youth are more likely to be exposed to violence and crime than adults. Take a look at this pie chart for just a few seconds to look at the different percentages of exposure to violence and the categories in which they lay. Okay. The presence of a caring, stable adult is the single most important factor in children building. And this is on your questionnaire, that link that is separate that was sent to you. So you'll fill that answer in there. All right. At Big Brothers Big Sisters, we believe that all children and youth deserve to live in a world that makes them feel cared for and protected, helping to ensure the safety and well-being of every child that comes in contact with one of our local agencies is our highest priority. In this lesson, we introduce the Big Brothers Big Sisters Youth Protection System. This system is essential to our programs and is the core of everything we do. At the end of this lesson, you should be able to answer the following questions. How is youth protection integrated into every aspect of Big Brothers Big Sisters programs? What are Big Brothers Big Sisters national required standards of excellence? What are the elements of the youth protections process? How do all match participants work together to promote the safety and well-being of youth? What is professional match support and how does it promote child safety and youth protection? And now we're going to watch another video.
At Big Brothers Big Sisters, we believe that all children and youth deserve to live in a world that makes them feel cared for and protected. Helping to ensure the safety and well-being of every child that comes in contact with one of our local agencies is our highest priority. Because of this, we integrate and promote child safety in every aspect of our program, including nationally required standards of excellence, training in child protection, parents as partners, screening and selection, professional match support. Big Brothers Big Sisters has worked alongside national violence prevention experts to implement nationwide standards that require industry-leading levels of high quality in providing services to children and youth, their families, and bigs. All Big Brothers Big Sisters agencies are required to comply with these standards to ensure that the same high-quality service is being provided in communities across the country. Big Brothers Big Sisters agencies establish policies and procedures aimed at best protecting youth, including processes that outline the effective screening and selection of staff and volunteers, along with the professional monitoring of match relationships. Everyone associated with the Big Brothers Big Sisters program, all volunteers, youth, guardians, and board members, is required to be trained in recognizing and responding to suspected child abuse. We'll talk more about this later. Making the best possible match between a little and big is critical to the growth and development of a child. But before we begin the matching process, Big Brothers Big Sisters staff start by thoroughly screening potential bigs. Big Brothers Big Sisters National Standards of Excellence require each volunteer to complete an extensive screening process that includes completion of a formal written application, background and reference checks, an in-person interview, an orientation and training process that outlines the individual needs of the child and provides information and resources on how to encourage each child's development, and pre-match training like the one you're doing now. When it comes to the future of our youth and the well-being of our communities, everyone works together. We need the parents and guardians of littles to be involved every step of the way. Just as you will have a say in deciding the little you'll be matched with, parents approve the selection of their child's big. Parents and guardians remain in close contact with agency staff to look out for their child's best interests and help achieve the best possible outcomes for their child. In community-based programs, parents are expected to approve all activities and outings between bigs and littles and communicate regularly with their child's big. Parents are expected to communicate with their child and help ensure healthy and safe relationship development. Finally, our highly qualified, specially trained match support specialists are responsible for helping to ensure that relationships between littles and bigs are developing in a healthy, safe way for everyone involved. Also, they're responsible to help guide mentoring relationships so they will grow to be enduring and enriching and result in positive outcomes for youth. Our ongoing match support process is extensive. It includes required match supervision by trained staff, including ongoing communication with match participants for the life of the match. Also, all matches are professionally monitored to make sure that all safety-related policies and procedures focused on maintaining appropriate boundaries and healthy relationship development are followed. And finally, the ongoing match support process includes nationwide technology that tracks and monitors match activities and a little's progress in areas such as academics, avoidance of risky behaviors, socio-emotional development, and aspirations. We will continue to emphasize child safety and youth protection throughout this training and through the life of your match relationship. It is critical in defending the potential of all youth.
All right. What are the components of the Big Brothers Big Sisters Youth Protection System? Again, this will be on that questionnaire in the separate link you received. We reviewed each step of the volunteer enrollment training and match support process, and the image below focuses specifically on the screening, selection, and training components of the youth protection system. For a review of the full process, click here. If you want access to that, we would be happy to refer you to the link. And also, if you want a copy sent to your email, we can do that. As a big, it is important to understand the background many of our children, youth, and their families experience and the impact it can have on their life. Many of our littles have experienced trauma. Bigs, like you, can help lessen the negative impacts of trauma in their life. In this lesson, we define trauma and talk about childhood exposure to trauma. It's important to understand that many of the children, youth, and families we serve have experienced trauma and how it can impact their life. At the end of this lesson, you should be able to answer the following questions. What percentage of youth in the United States have witnessed or experienced a traumatic event? What is trauma? What is the impact of trauma on children and youth? What is the single most common factor for children who develop the skills of resilience? What are protective factors?
Children all across the U.S. are exposed to violence at home, in their neighborhood, or at school every day. The National Center for Mental Health Promotion and Youth Violence Prevention estimates that 26% of children will witness or experience a traumatic event before the age of 4. This includes physical assault, sexual victimization, maltreatment, gun violence, or witnessing violence. Also, more than 70% of youth we serve in Big Brothers Big Sisters programs are youth of color, which means many of these youth have experienced systemic racism as trauma in their lives. As a big, it is important to understand the background and trauma many of our children, youth, and their families experience and the impact it can have on their lives. Now let's talk about what trauma is. Trauma is defined as an experience that causes intense physical or psychological stress reactions. It includes a single event, multiple events, or a set of circumstances experienced by an individual as physically or emotionally harmful or threatening. Research tells us that these types of experiences can affect how children and youth react in certain situations, how they behave, how they do in school, and even their long-term health and development. While that may sound overwhelming, research also points to the presence of at least one stable relationship with a supportive parent, caregiver, or other adult as the single most common factor for children who develop the skills of resilience. Having a relationship with a caring adult is considered a protective factor, which can buffer the long-term effects of trauma on youth. Protective factors are social conditions or personal attributes that help lessen the risk of trauma for an individual, family, or community. Examples of other protective factors include strong cultural or religious ties, opportunities for creative and emotional expression, and opportunities that nurture a positive sense of self, as well as learning skills for better problem solving. Many of our littles have experienced trauma. Bigs, like you, can help lessen the negative impacts of trauma in their life. To learn more about trauma, protective factors, and their impact on a match relationship, ask your agency representative about our Introduction to Trauma-Informed Care for Volunteers training.
Right. So where this is match the phrases, match the definitions to the word, this is again on that link, the additional link that you were sent for the quiz. This is also on the link for the quiz. If you want to take a minute to look at this infographic, if you want a copy of this, I am more than happy to email it to you. Just contact our office and we will get that email to you. Traumatic events experienced during childhood, such as physical, emotional, or sexual abuse, neglect, parental mental illness, substance abuse, incarceration, parental separation or divorce, domestic violence, are also called adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs. What you may not know is that ACEs can negatively impact a child's health. Research tells us that ACEs has been linked to anxiety, depression, chronic pain, diabetes, liver disease, stroke. But the good news is children can build resilience, and one of the key strategies in doing so is having a stable relationship with caring adults. Big Brothers Big Sisters of America is committed to being a part of the solution, and we created learning opportunities to help volunteers understand the impact of ACEs and learn ways they can help young people heal. For more information on our online Introduction to Trauma-Informed Care training for volunteers, see the end of this course for continued learning opportunities. Again, if you want access to that, I can register you. Just contact our office and we'll get you registered for that additional course. These are ACEs conversations. So if you want these conversation starters for the ACEs, you can contact our office and we will make sure and get that to you. Safety in your match. Let's talk about safety in a match relationship. Once you are matched and begin meeting with your little, you are responsible for their safety and well-being anytime you are together. Big Brothers Big Sisters and its local agencies have policies designed to help ensure you and your little's safety. In this lesson, we will take a closer look at Big Brothers Big Sisters and local agency policies that are designed to help keep match participants safe. Also, you will learn more about match agreement, which all volunteers must agree to and sign before being matched with a little. At the end of this lesson, you should be able to answer the following questions. What is a match agreement? What are the Bigs' responsibilities in helping keep their little safe? What are appropriate interactions between Bigs, littles, and families? What are some general safety tips for a safe match relationship?
Let's talk about safety in a match relationship. Prior to being matched with a child or youth, local agencies require that all Bigs sign a match agreement. This agreement addresses important safety-related program policies and outlines acceptable conduct by Bigs. Once you're matched with a little and begin going on outings, you're responsible for their safety and well-being anytime you're together. Also, by following local agency policies, you're helping to ensure your safety and that of your family. At a minimum, these nationally required policies address restrictions on match activities, safety in transporting youth, emergency procedures on outings, social media use, firearms and weapons, use of alcohol, illicit drugs, or tobacco surrounding match outings, restrictions on children visiting volunteers' homes and overnight outings, and mandatory reporting of suspected child abuse or neglect. You'll also receive important information on appropriate interaction between Bigs, littles, and families that help to ensure respect for appropriate boundaries, as well as physical and emotional safety. We address some of these in the match relationship video. Your agency representative will share these policies with you and provide you with your own copy as a reference. Bigs are expected to be familiar with and follow these policies at all times. If you have any questions, please discuss them with your local agency representative. On a regular basis, your match support specialist will review these policies with you along with safety-related ground rules. In addition to this, they'll routinely provide you with general safety tips, including suggestions for safe activities and guidance in navigating safety concerns that may arise. As part of this training, we've included some volunteer safety tips and resources which you can print and reference at any time. Your agency will likely have additional policies, procedures, and safety guidelines that you must follow to help keep everyone in the match relationship safe.
This will be on your quiz. This is also on your quiz. Here are some additional resources. Again, if you would like access to any of these prints, contact the match agency and we will get that to you. All right, our final one is child abuse and neglect. Child abuse and neglect affects children of every age, race, and income level. It may be perpetrated by family members, other adults, or peers. It is a criminal act punishable by law. In 1 year across the U.S., roughly 4 million reports are made to Child Protective Services concerning the safety and well-being of approximately 7.5 million children. In this lesson, we will talk about the difficult subject of child abuse. At the end of this lesson, you should be able to answer the following questions. What is child abuse? What are the various types of child abuse? What is your responsibility if you suspect child abuse or neglect? What are the signs of child abuse? And how do you respond to your little if they disclose to you they have been abused?
Child abuse and neglect affects children of every age, race, and income level. It may be perpetrated by family members, other adults, or peers. It's a criminal act punishable by law. In 1 year across the U.S., roughly 4 million reports are made to Child Protective Services concerning the safety and well-being of approximately 7.5 million children. Research on adverse childhood experiences reported by adults informs us that 1 out of 4 adults experienced physical abuse as a child, and 1 out of 5 experienced child sexual abuse. There are 4 major types of child abuse. The first is neglect, which is the most common form of reported abuse. Neglect is the failure to provide for a child's basic needs. Physical abuse is physical injury as a result of hitting, kicking, shaking, burning, or otherwise harming a child. Sexual abuse is any situation where a child is used for sexual gratification, including indecent exposure, fondling, rape, or commercial exploitation through prostitution or the production of child sexual abuse images. There's also emotional abuse, which involves any pattern of behavior that impairs a child's emotional development or sense of self-worth, including constant criticism, threats, and rejection. Although mandatory reporting laws surrounding suspected child abuse and neglect vary state by state, Big Brothers Big Sisters of America's national standards require that everyone associated with a Big Brothers Big Sisters local agency, professional staff, board members, and volunteers, report all suspected or known cases of child abuse or neglect to the appropriate authorities, regardless of when the suspected abuse occurred. Your local agency will provide you with specific information regarding their protocols on how to file a report and the appropriate actions to take if you believe a child may be in imminent or immediate danger. As a big, you play a very important role in your little's life as a caring, trusted adult. If a child or youth has experienced abuse or some other kind of maltreatment, either past or present, there is a strong likelihood they may choose you as someone to confide in and rely on for help. For that reason, you need to understand how to both recognize the signs and symptoms of potential abuse and how to best respond to a disclosure so that the best outcome for the child can be achieved. Keep in mind that a child who has experienced abuse may show no outward signs at all, and many of the potential signs of abuse may also be attributable to factors other than abuse. To learn more about how to recognize different forms of abuse, see the additional resources section of this training. You'll be in a better position to recognize and respond to a child's disclosure of abuse or harm if you have thought about and prepared your reactions in advance. Hearing that a child you care about has been mistreated is a painful, highly emotional experience. Despite your own strong feelings, it's in the child's best interest that you work to stay calm and focus on them. Create an environment of safety and listen intently without judgment. It's very important that you do not, interrogate them, promise them everything will be okay. In fact, things may get more difficult for a child once they disclose abuse. Or tell them you will keep their disclosure confidential. Work to reassure the child by relaying a strong message that you are grateful they shared the information with you, letting them know you're very sorry about what happened to them, reminding them that what happened to them was not their fault, and letting them know you're there to help and support them. You may be unfamiliar with what a disclosure looks like. To help you prepare for and recognize a potential disclosure, take a look at the additional resources for a guide written for parents and caregivers called Handling Child Abuse Disclosures. For additional information about child abuse and neglect, take a look at the following resources.
All right. This will be on your quiz. Okay. So you have been matched with your little for just over a year. While you're out getting ice cream, they say they have something to tell you and that it's a secret. They tell you that last year, when they were at a friend's house, their friend's brother touched them in a way that made them very uncomfortable and threatened to harm them if they told anyone. How should you respond? You ask them all the details about the situation, including their friend's brother's name, when and where it happened, or you thank your little for trusting you enough to tell you and that you are very sorry for what happened to them. All right, which one do you think it is? Just answer to yourself real quick. All right, it is number 2. You thank your little for trusting you enough to tell them. You should also remind your little that what happened to them was not their fault and that you are there to support them. It's very important that you do not promise them that everything will be okay or that you will keep their disclosure confidential. Because the reality is that things may get more difficult for your little once they disclose. And also, BBBSA's national standards require that you report their disclosure to the appropriate authorities regardless of when the incident occurred. For additional resources, contact our office and we will make sure and get those to you. All right, that completes child protection. Please exit this video and go to the quiz link and complete your quiz. That quiz has to be completed in order for this to be officially logged as complete.